Good Tuesday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top news stories, let's take a quick look outside our weather window. And today, a lot like yesterday, look at that beautiful clear sky out there, blue sky all over the Wenatchee Valley and north central Washington today. The only difference between today and what we've seen the last couple of days is a little bit stronger winds out there today. We did see northwest winds at times, down 10 to 15 miles an hour, and that will be our situation as we move into tonight as well. Could even see a gust of around 25 miles an hour. What we're really keeping our eye on, heightened wildfire concern. And boy, that especially is true as we move through the week and into Friday. Another weak cold front will move through on Friday. Then we could see gusts to 30 miles an hour. Once again, wildfires, a big concern. Any new starts could be very, very critical with winds, low humidity, and very warm temperatures. We'll tell you more about weather coming up a little bit later on. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. The 150-acre DeVore Creek fire burning in the Lake Chelan area south of Stehekin saw minimal fire growth and activity today. Manson firefighters made quick work of a brush fire Monday afternoon. And Washington Fish and Wildlife officials are responding to more reports of wolf-related livestock deaths in the northeastern part of the state. But first, we begin tonight. This month marks the one-year anniversary of the Chelan Hills fire that blackened over 1,800 acres and burned 9 structures in Douglas County. The cause of that fire remains a mystery according to the findings of a year-long investigation by the State Department of Natural Resources. Investigators say the fire started on July 27th from an undetermined cause near the intersection of State Route 97 and Chelan Hills Acres Road. The fire triggered the closure of Highway 97 and resulted in Level 3 evacuation for scores of homeowners. The final investigation ruled out lightning, debris burning, or other possible sources of ignition. Lead investigator Terry Liebrecht with the DNR says in his final report that pending any new leads or evidence, the case will remain open but inactive. Meanwhile, the 150-acre DeVore Creek fire burning in the Lake Chelan area south of Stehekin saw minimal fire growth and activity today. However, there is still active fire in the area, and over the coming days, ground crews will continue to improve the existing protection line as a preparedness measure. An incident management team will take over command of the fire on Wednesday. There are currently 55 fire personnel working that fire, which is burning entirely within the Glacier Peak Wilderness at an elevation of 8,000 feet. The U.S. Forest Service says some smoke may be visible in the Lake Chelan area over the next few days. Manson firefighters made quick work of a brush fire on Monday afternoon. The fire was located off Templin Road and Chapman Road. Firefighters quickly contained the fire. Structures in the area were not immediately threatened and no evacuations were requested. Washington State Fish and Wildlife officials are responding to more reports of wolf-related livestock deaths in the northeastern part of the state. NCWLIFE's Steve Hare reports.
The Capitol Press reports the agency confirmed last Friday 3 more calves were preyed upon while grazing in an allotment on the Colville National Forest. The article said the state reports the pack is responsible for the deaths of at least 6 calves and probably a 7th since July 13th. Now, the livestock are owned by the Diamond M Ranch. Agency officials say the depredation continued even after the rancher used non-lethal measures to prevent conflicts. The ongoing clashes have fueled increasing calls to delist the gray wolves as a federal endangered species. Commissioner Bob Boogert favors a proposal to transfer management of the wolf population to the state.
So it provides tremendous flexibility once it is under state jurisdiction, under their management authority, because the Endangered Species Act, as we well know, can be a very restrictive tool for protection of a given species. And so to take them off that federal listing does provide quite a bit more latitude for the State Department of Fish and Wildlife to more effectively manage them and really to work with the communities then to come up with appropriate management techniques.
Since September 5th, Fish and Wildlife confirms at least 26 cattle deaths attributed to the so-called opt pack, which is comprised of 4 adults and at least 4 pups. Last fall, 2 members of that pack were shot and killed by Fish and Wildlife officers. Cattlemen tell the Capitol Press Wolves have reduced the deer and elk populations and are turning now to livestock for food. Steve Hare, NCWLIFE News.
Coming up next, a Puyallup man's jet ski took an 80-foot plunge over a juvenile fish bypass at Wanapum Dam earlier this month. The police chief of the small town of Republic, who gained national fame for refusing to enforce Washington's new gun laws, is now running for governor. 8th District U.S. Representative Kim Schreier has joined all other Washington State Democratic representatives in supporting an impeachment inquiry of President Trump. And a little-traveled Chelan County road near the summit of Stevens Pass is closed for culvert work. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Hi everyone, this is Brent Crowder. After 13 years with the Town Auto Group, I have returned home to Town Toyota where it all started. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, let me help you find the right one at the right price. Toyota is reliable and trustworthy, and you can count on me to be the same. When it comes to buying your next car, you can't go wrong with Toyota and Crowder. Ask for Brent at Town Toyota or call me now at 888-5000.
Family roles change with time. You may find yourself being an unpaid caregiver to a loved one. Caregiving can be rewarding, but also stressful. Taking care of yourself is vital. Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington has low or no cost services for unpaid caregivers, such as in-home support, care supplies, and counseling. Connect in your local area by calling Aging and Adult Care at 800-572-4459 and mention you're interested in caregiver support.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson. Remember the good old days? Sunday supper at Grandma's and the best recipes being passed down through generations? Well, come on out to Blueberry Hills and find amazing food with huge portions at family-friendly prices. From Benedict's to burgers to fresh fruit pies, there is something for everyone. Don't miss Blueberry Hills, where you pick, you sip, you eat, and you visit. wildaboutberries.com.
Welcome back. In another news, a Puyallup man's jet ski took an 80-foot plunge over a juvenile fish bypass at Wanapum Dam earlier this month. Fortunately, he was no longer on it. The Grant County PUD said 51-year-old Byron Schultz launched his Yamaha Wave Runner at Frenchman Coulee on the Columbia River on July 22nd, but about 4 miles downstream encountered a fast-moving current and whitecaps whipped up by strong winds. He fell off after hitting a particularly large whitecap, then struggled to make it to shore. But the Wave Runner continued on past the dam safety barrier. Dam operators watched as it went flying through the bypass spill gate, which dumps an average of 20,000 cubic feet of water per second. Dam workers recovered the craft as it was bobbing in moss-covered rocks along the shoreline. Finding his contact information in a bag, the workers called Schultz, who later arrived to find the Wave Runner relatively unscathed. He started it up and rode to the nearest boat launch. Well, the police chief of the small town of Republic, who gained national fame for refusing to enforce Washington's new gun laws, is now running for governor. Lauren Culp, an Army veteran and former drill instructor, announced his intentions over the weekend. Culp says the state's lawmakers have violated their oath of office by passing laws that restrict individual rights. He was the state's first law enforcement officer to say he would not enforce voter-approved Initiative 1639, which imposed several new gun regulations. He appeared several times on Fox News and also wrote a book about his stance called American Cop. 8th District U.S. Representative Kim Schreier has joined all other Washington State Democratic representatives in supporting an impeachment inquiry of President Trump. Schreier, who was elected to her first term last November, earlier this month voted against starting impeachment proceedings. Schreier said on a flight back to the state from Washington, D.C. last week that she was able to finish listening to special counsel Robert Mueller's testimony before Congress. In a statement, Schreier said, quote, "If I had done any of the things that our president had done to obstruct justice or act against the interests of this country, I would be in jail," unquote. Well, a little-traveled Chelan County road near the summit of Stevens Pass is closed as a contractor replaces 2 damaged culverts with a single-span bridge. In-water work on the Yodelin Creek project started Monday on Stevens Road, with work expected to last into October. Damaged or outdated culverts throughout the state are being repaired or replaced with bridges to allow safer fish passage. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's features story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Stay with us.
I told Mr. Nielsen about Simon. He's the best doctor because I like the medicines like he gives me.
He asks like more questions, and that's why I feel like he's more interested in the health. For me, it means a lot. That means he really cares about, about him.
I like you, Simon, and you're my best friend.
Only one dealership in Wenatchee has Motor Trend's SUV of the Year and Truck of the Year. That's right, Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram has the all-new Jeep Wrangler and the all-new Ram 1500 pickup. Or get the best of both worlds in the new Jeep Gladiator. Visit Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram today for more information on these award winners and see why there's no reason to leave town to buy your next vehicle.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. In tonight's features story, we continue our look into this week's NCWLIFE magazine with producer Caitlin Hedersheet profiling two local artists. Jan Cook Mack is a well-known Wenatchee artist with work all over north central Washington, from vast local landscapes to portraiture and even mural work. Here's more.
It took a long time to get used to the different scale. And when I moved out here, there was a mountain that was just outside. We lived on Eagle Rock, and I said, well, what's the name of that mountain? And they just said, well, that's only 3,000 feet high. It has no name. So I found it really intriguing. You drive up the top of Birch Mountain Road, and so you get this view, and you wouldn't have this kind of distant view back east. My name is Jan Cook Mack, and I used to live in upstate New York as Jan Cook, so I painted a lot there before I moved out here. And so when I got married, I added Mack to my name. And wasn't sure I'd be able to paint out here, but the landscape's really pretty incredible. I lived in like the country, and I was painting, do I have one? Yeah, that one. See, the one under the window is a painting of Mount Anthony, and I was only a few miles from Bennington, Vermont. I did live in New York for a while, but it's really hard to be integrated into that system unless you live there all the time. And I was more of a country person.
Her own children became the subject of her paintings as they were growing up, something Jan says they somewhat tolerated but weren't shy about sharing their opinions.
I wanted to, paint them as they grow up. Let's see, I took a photo of him, but the landscape had a double rainbow during a snowfall. And I thought, oh, that's really cool, so I'll put that in. And then I don't know what made me put the pears in, I guess because of their color and light. He's 7, remember? He said, you're just gonna have to do this again because everybody knows my hair's not green. See, and I said, but the green is the reflection of the light on your hair. Mom, it really looks like my hair is green and nobody's gonna like go for that. So I'm gonna sit for you. And he sat for the one with the orchids behind it. And he sat for 15 minutes. He said, okay, I bet you have it by now. I thought, great. So he went over and watched TV, and I filled in more stuff, and they said, would you just come back so I can work on it a little more? And so he did. He came back. And he probably sat there for, I don't know, a couple hours over a period of time. So, but you can see I got his hair brown now. I got it right.
Time now for a check of your North Central Washington weather forecast. And our weather out there today, as we look outside our weather window, beautiful as a painting, isn't it? With both blue skies all over the Wenatchee Valley area. Of course, our beautiful Columbia River and the Wenatchee Valley. Hardly a cloud to even see out there today. That allowed temperatures to warm up. Not quite as warm as yesterday, but still an awfully nice day around today. And basically about where we should be for this time of year. We will see more of the same, but high temperature today unofficially right about normal. 88 degrees at the airport. 65 was where we started the day this morning. 89 is normal for our high. 63 our normal low temperature for this time of year. Record high once again for the second day in a row, back to 2014 where it was 103 degrees. Our record low was set in 1993 and that was at 47. No new precipitation the past 24 hours. Still set at 4.23 inches since January 1st. Sunrise this morning at 5:36 and the sun will set tonight at 8:37. Boy, getting closer to 8:30, aren't we? Now let's take a look at what we can expect as we move into our forecast. And a lot of people have mentioned, as I see them around town or even around the newsroom here at NCW Life Channel, it has been a cool summer. And boy, this proves it right here. The number of 90-degree days, this is as of Sunday. And you can see Wenatchee, we have had 9 days of 90 degrees or warmer in all of 2019. And just go back to 2015. Look at that, 31 days by now of temperatures 90 degrees or more, and every one of these locations on the map are down compared to previous years. So yeah, it's been a cooler than normal summer, but as we get into the end of this forecast, you're going to see that we're going to warm up big time, and we might stay above 90 for several days as we move along in our forecast. But let's take a look at how things will shape up as we move into our midweek Wednesday. We will just tick up a little bit as far as temperatures go around north central Washington. Moses Lake 90 degrees, Ephrata and Quincy as well. We'll be awfully close here in the Wenatchee area for our Wednesday at 89, pretty consistently in the upper 80s. Cooler in Lake Wenatchee at near 80 degrees. What a beautiful day to be up there tomorrow. And the warm spot up in Omak tomorrow at 91 degrees. Now let's take a look at that surface loop and see how that shapes out for the next 7 days. Lots of clear skies. Most of the clouds are spinning around this area of low pressure out in the Pacific, but the big blocking high that's been in the desert southwest for the last couple of weeks or so is keeping most of those clouds away, and it's really rotating a lot of warm air, the orange and red color around that yellow. That's the warm air that's circulating around that high, and that's what we'll see for our Wednesday with lighter winds tomorrow and warm temperatures. Thursday, sunshine and lots of it, light breezes too. We will warm up a little bit on Thursday. Notice our colors darkening up as we move into the end of the week, but wait until you see next week. By Friday then, mostly sunny. We mentioned it earlier. That will be a windy day. We are going to see a weak system move up into British Columbia. It started off the coast of Washington. Here's where our windiest locations will be, but down into central Washington, yeah, Friday we could see winds around 25 miles an hour. But it gets a lot better as we get into the upcoming weekend. Sunny, light winds and warmer for Saturday with temperatures then about where we should be for this time of year after being in the mid-80s on Friday. Sunday, that's where our heat wave really begins. Sunshine, and look at the colors here in eastern Washington, more of a reddish color, and that's close to 100 degrees, and we will definitely be close to 100 degrees as we move into Monday. Sunny and hot all the up and down the west coast, and after Monday, we could see temperatures even in the upper 90s to here 100 degrees, and we might be talking about our first 100-degree days in about a week and a half or so. So enjoy these kind of normal temperatures. Let's take a look now at your Quick Lube and Tune 7-day forecast. Tonight will drop down to 63 degrees, a tick up tomorrow to 89 for a high temperature. Light winds tomorrow after some windy conditions tonight. Warmer on Thursday at 90 degrees. And then remember that cold front moves through on Friday. We'll see windy conditions at times Friday and cooler at 86 degrees. And then the warm up begins. Saturday 89, Sunday all the way up to 94. And by Monday we're looking at sunny and hot weather with a high temperature then of 95. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Being able to support yourself and your family is an important part of who we are. We all need to know we're able to provide ourselves with a secure future. Some job seekers have a harder time finding work. That's why Goodwill's Employment Connection Center is here, a free walk-in job search assistance program designed to help people find work. When you shop at or donate to Goodwill, you're really being a job creator. Make plans to attend the August 30th grand opening of the all-new Goodwill on Columbia Center Boulevard in Kennewick.
With 15,000 square feet to explore, you'll find something special at the Antique Mall at Cashmere. For the do-it-yourselfers and those with a keen eye for making something old fresh and new again, the Antique Mall at Cashmere is the place to come find your next project. From the coin enthusiasts to avid collectors, Antique Mall at Cashmere has treasures in every corner. Come find your treasure today. Antique Mall at Cashmere's friendly staff is here to help. Stop on by today.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy Tuesday to you. Wenatchee won a thriller last night over Portland at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. Final score 7-6. With the details, here's the voice of the Apple Sox, Joel Norman.
The Apple Sox picked up their fourth consecutive victory and fourth sweep of the season with a dramatic walk-off victory over the Portland Pickles, 7-6. Here at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium last night. And the Apple Sox are going into an off day after winning their fourth in a row, and they rallied late. They gave up 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning. It's been a back-to-back series, but they never quit, as they haven't in any of these last 4 games. They've been pushed up against the wall and picked up the victory each time. Connor Kiefer with a 2 RBI single to tie and then give the Apple Sox the victory, scoring 2 runs.
So he moves into scoring position, second and third. A base hit potentially wins the game. Here comes the 2-2 offering to Kiefer. Swung on, hit into right field. That gets down. Into scores Klassen to tie the game. Sellers will get the wave. The throw to the plate is cut off. The relay, not in time. The Apple Sox walk it off. A sweep of the Pickles. Their 4th consecutive win and their 4th series sweep. Connor Kiefer, the hero on this Monday night. What a ball game. What a series.
Wenatchee off on Tuesday. They will be back in action on Wednesday night at 6:35 at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. With your Apple Sox update, I'm Joel Norman.
Thank you much, Joel. Ryan Altenberger also homered for Wenatchee in the victory, while Johnny Sage went 3 for 3 to up his batting average to .322 on the season. Landon Schreier gave up the 2-run home run in the top of the 9th, but got the win to improve to 1-1 on the mound. After taking today off, Apple Sox will host the Cascade Collegiate League Showcase team. That'll be tomorrow night at 6:35. With every victory, Wenatchee's playoff hopes become brighter and brighter, and they got some help last night from Port Angeles as we check the Les Schwab scoreboard in the West Coast Coast League, the lefties brought 10 men to the plate in a 5-run third inning, hung on to beat Bellingham 6-4. The Bells scored 3 in the ninth, had the winning run at the plate, but Port Angeles prevailed. Brock Efen drove in 5 runs, and Cesar Lopez had 3 RBIs as Walla Walla doubled up Cowlitz 12-6. Brooks Lee's 3-run home run highlighted a 4-run 8th inning as Corvallis beat Bend 7-5. 6 of Ridgefield's 12 runs were unearned last night as Yacobo Valley committed 4 errors in the Raptors' 12-6 victory. Pippins have committed 80 errors. That's 8-0 on the season. By the way, Wenatchee league worst at 81. So here's the latest standings in the North Division of the West Coast League. Wenatchee and Victoria are still technically tied for first place. Port Angeles is 2.5 games back, while Yacobo Valley and Kelowna are 4.5 games back. Wenatchee could just win the second half division to get into the playoffs, or it will depend on the overall victory and records if Victoria prevails. So overall, here's how the overall records in the North Division stack up in that scenario. If Victoria wins the second half, comes down to the overall records of the remaining teams in the final playoff spot from the division. Wenatchee 2 games in front of Bellingham in that case at 24-21. The Bells are 20-21. Wenatchee has 9 games left remaining. Bells still have 12 league games left and could have 13 if necessary. They'd have to make up a rainout from back in June with Port Angeles. So a lot still to be determined over the final few weeks of the West Coast League schedule. Well, the heat index is expected to be 103 in Arlington, Texas here this afternoon, and the Mariners meet the Rangers in the first of a 2-game set. Seattle riding a 5-game winning streak, their longest since April, as they head to the Lone Star State. Texas has lost 2 straight after a testy series with Houston. They sit at 500 at 53-53. Mike Leake getting the start for the Mariners. He's 9-8 with a 4.25 ERA. Seattle batters are facing Ariel Jurado, who is 6-6 with a 4.83 earned run average. Also, only 1 game in the American League West last night as we open up the Les Schwab scoreboard. Detroit ended a 6-game losing streak with a 7-2 win against the Angels. Miguel Cabrera led the way for the Tigers, going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a solo home run. Well, as the sun shines brightly in Western Washington, they're turning up the heat at Seahawks training camp. Today was the first day in full pads, and offensive tackle Dwayne Brown says, finally felt good to hit somebody.
It's always exciting. You know, guys been waiting all year to really get physical and hit, and that's kind of when you get to really evaluate where you are, especially us up front. It really changes the tempo for us. Our defensive line is looking really good, so it's good competition.
So competitive. You cross over the line of scrimmage and give pointers to the pass rushers in a situation like that?
Yeah, all the time. You know, I've been in the league 12 years. I've faced every kind of defender. You know, I've seen everything that works, everything that may not work, and we're all on the same team. You know, I'm trying to help them get better. They're trying to help me get better. You know, and I'll give them tips on, you know, things that I'm doing and how to beat it. And if they get me on it, so be it. You know what I mean? It'll help them on Sunday. And it's just all about just working with each other.
Brown says he expects the Seahawks offensive line to be the best it's been in a long time now that they've had a chance to work together.
Been on record saying, you know, more than once, I think we can be the best group in the league. Continuity is very, very important. Just building that chemistry and you know, being able to communicate, knowing what the guy next to you is going to do in certain situations. We also have a lot of depth, you know, so in case, you know, injuries happen, you know, in this game it happens. You know, you have somebody step in and able to fill their shoes and still perform at a high level. So that's what we're blessed with in our room. We have a lot of depth, a lot of players that are talented.
Countdown is on until Seattle's first preseason game a week from Thursday against Denver at CenturyLink Field. That's sports. I'm Eric Granstrom. Grant, back to you.
Thank you, Eric. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. Also, keep it right here on the NCW Life channel tomorrow morning for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with host Dan Kuntz. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.
NCW Life channel is your home for local news, local weather, and events including live local high school sports. Watch inspiring local shows featuring local people. Don't miss Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's learn. Guada TV. Street Talk and Other Stuff. The 12th District. Life with Lisa. And the Arbiter of Stoke. NCW Life channel is your local TV station.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to check out the NCW Movie Guide to keep up on what movies are playing in our town.